Okay, so I'm explaining to my son Jeremy here, who's not a programmer, the program for taking a break. And the idea is that we're working away on our computers and we all need to take a break occasionally. You feel like that, don't you, sometimes, Jeremy?
I don't feel like I ever work.
So I'll demonstrate what the program does and then I'll show you how it does it. So the program, the text is actually here on the screen, the same as what is on the paper here. And the input and output of the program is over here in this other window. And so to run it, all I have to do is enter that window and hit F5 and, well, nothing happens because we're working. We're busily working. You might set it for 2 hours, but in this case I've set it for about 20 seconds. So after about 20 seconds, we get something interesting to remind ourselves to take a break. I can imagine the sorts of things that you might select to remind you to take a break. This might be one of them, or it might not be. So you get to watch your little Simpsons trailer for a few minutes. So it pops up in a browser, playing a YouTube, and another 20 seconds goes by. You watch it, you get back to work. Another 2 hours or 20 seconds goes by, and another one comes up. In this case, the same one. And it's set to do it for 3 times. So we might be working away again. We watched our video, had our little break, and after a little while, after whatever the time period is, magically. So that's what the program does. And it does it 3 times. And then it gives up and it goes to bed. It doesn't bat you. So what it's done is it's printed out a little statement saying the program has started at this time, and then it doesn't do anything else on the output shell. It just sends off the commands to the browser to play that video. So that's what it does. So how it does it? Well, Python is what we call an interpretive language. So the program, this program, is written as lines in a file, and that's fed into another program, which is called the Python interpreter. And its job is to take the lines of the Python program and turn it into more detailed instructions that are sent to the operating system or the graphics user interface or the network services, buried inside the machine that then actually do stuff. And if you went, programs run programs run programs run programs. If you went down low enough, eventually you'd get to assembler language running on the central computer, the CPU, which is moving bits around in memory and moving bits in and out of the I/O ports and off to the internet. So when we're dealing here at a program level, we're running at a very high level, and it actually goes through other programs in order to actually accomplish something. That's why we only have about 10 lines of code in this program, rather than the thousands and thousands of lines, millions actually of lines that are running at this level to actually make things happen on the screen. That's what we mean by a high-level language. Now, Python itself has inside the interpreter different sections and modules, if you like, and one of them is called OS, that talks to this operating system module, and another one is called time. And so that's just a collection of all the sub-programs that have to do with time. And there's another one called web browser. So anything to do with browsing the web calls at the lines in my program calls commands in web browser to talk to the network services, to talk to the I/O, to talk to the net. Okay so far?
Can you just that last bit you said about the web browser and that?
So this web browser is a set of commands or functions within the Python system that can implement the commands I write in the Python language, and that implements them as lower level commands that go to operating system functions called network services.
Okay.
So these are high-level commands, these are low-level commands, and these are much lower level, moving bits around.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we don't have to worry about moving bits around when we're writing a high-level language like Python. Okay, so let's look at the actual program. There's two commands at the top, and that is telling Python which of these modules inside the Python machine to actually load into memory, because there's so many thousands and hundreds of these sorts of modules that they don't load them all at once. They only load the ones that are needed. So you've got a basic Python system that looks at what is being asked to import and pulls these in and that makes them available to the program. So that's what these import statements do. We've got to do two things. We've got to count time and we've got to access the web. So we're calling in these two modules. Then we define a variable called count. And we want to go through the loop 3 times, so we just start the count at 3. And we start by saying, okay, we've started the program. This is just to confirm the program is running. And this is the print command. And anything that gets stated between these quotes is just printed out. And after it's printed program started at, then it prints this thing called time.ctime brackets. And that is calling this time function with the command, what is the current time? So this is a thing that's defined as a function in the Python interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
It returns a variable which is the current time, and then the print command prints it after it's printed that statement.
Okay.
Then we enter a loop. The loop says, while count is greater than 0, well, count has been set to 3. So we're going to go through the loop 3 times, because at the end of the loop, we decrement count. We go count equals count minus 1. So that's going to subtract 1 from the variable count and go back to the beginning again. See, these 3 lines are indented. They're part of that while loop. And so first time it does it, count is 3.
I get it. Yep, see.
2, 1, and then 0, it stops.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
Yeah. Where does the 20 seconds come into it, or the time frame?
We haven't got there yet. Actually, it's there.
Ah.
I changed the 10 to 20 before I showed it to you.
Okay,
all right, so this is another time command
Yeah.
that comes out of this module here in Python interpreter.
So this import thing means it's like I'm now talking to these two things.
I'm going to need the commands in these modules.
Yeah, cool.
Or some of them are commands. And one of the commands in time is sleep. And all it does is do
Wait.
nothing for however many seconds you put in the brackets. The next command is a web browser command, and it opens a website. So it simply says, open whatever is in the brackets. And in this case, I went to YouTube, got that string, and inserted it there in quotes. And that's exactly the same as if you typed those words into your URL bar in your browser.
Yeah.
So it's a computer way of doing what we normally do, as humans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's all. That's 6-line program with 2 imports. Does that little function.
Yeah, cool.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Is that it?
That's the first one.